Well, let's talk about, we had spoken offline a little earlier about all the media that's reached out. I know you had an article in the Daily Mail.
Daily Mail, and then obviously the other facets are related to Daily Mail published this. Well, they misconstrued a lot of that, and then they end up going in from David Grush to bashing Dr. Greer about it. So it was something that they trying to use like to get people's attention, and they go into this fucking narrative. You know, I've had News Nation, I've had CNN, I've had MSNBC that reached out. Through LinkedIn, through other emails, you know, because my email gets blasted all over the place these days. And I've got 4 emails, so I got the fucking shitty one I hand out to people because I don't want to get spammed through my business emails because that's money that's sitting on a table if need be. And I decline every single one of them because I know that they're going to push this false narrative. The false narrative is that there's evil ETs, and this is what David Grush is pushing now, saying that, you know, they're malevolent and he's seen people, ETs die, or he's heard ETs kill people and things like that. Well, first and foremost, if there is a species of extraterrestrial that's out there and they happen to be fucking malevolent, it's not wise to shoot their shit down or kill any of them because guess what? They're highly advanced. Yeah. If they can make this kind of stuff, imagine what they can do if they weaponize it. You know, so it's something that, you know, this needs to stop because all it's doing is just it's just portraying fear out to people.
Yeah.
They did this with COVID. You see the response of that. People are still living this way, living like COVID exists to this day, which it probably does, but it's not nearly as damaging as what people are saying.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as was hyped up.
No, it wasn't. And you still have people fucking afraid of their lives. And this is the thing that is sad to see that. So this whole, now people are thinking about this going on, now that all of a sudden worst case is going to happen. It's just this whole fear being portrayed in the media to try to scare the shit out of people, either get ratings or try to get people tuned in their networks is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's more, you know, it's more of a personal game for them because they get money off of views. So
now that you've set the record straight, do you think you'll go on any of these media outlets?
No.
No?
I'm not looking to get fucking famous from this dude.
Yeah.
I just want to get this information out. This ain't gonna, you know, I've had people try to approach me with book deals and shit like that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This has nothing to do with trying to get money. This is trying to make sure that, and I'm not trying to convince the public here. And I'm getting that on record too. This isn't trying to convince the fucking public that this is real. I'm trying to convince the government, and thankfully they are convinced enough to actually do something about it. That's my main objective with this.
Good
because
for you.
When they come out and they start talking about the bills that they're talking about, legislations, because of people like me standing up, along with other whistleblowers coming out and talking about the same kind of corroboration, that there's man-made stuff going on, that there's nefarious activities going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and they're making money illegally, and they're murdering or killing people doing it.
I'm glad you're doing it.
I'm glad too, man.
Takes a
and
lot of
it scares the shit out of me. I wake up every day unsure like what the fuck's going to happen, but that's why you had to take it day by day. And at the end of the day, there's people looking out for me, which is great, in the government and spiritually as well.
Good.
You know, and that's where I'm going to thrive with this because guess what? If they can silence me, but they can't silence the fucking truth. And they've been trying to silence the truth for far too long. And it needs to stop. And there's anybody, whistleblowers too, this is the thing I'm going to urge. Anybody who has any information with this, whether they witnessed similar things with this, whether, you know, you're in the opposite spectrum. If you're anybody who's working in these programs, I know there's people who are listening to your show about this, by the way, who are probably on that side of the coin. Fucking man up and come the fuck out.
Yeah.
You got to stop the bullshit. And anybody who knows about this, well, guess what? If you know the truth and you're not revealing it, then you're complicit to it too. So I'm urging, get a hold of me. I mean, I'll throw my email if you can put that link in. And most of all, get a hold of Dr. Greer.
I'll put that link in there.
Okay. But yeah, Dr. Greer, I mean, he's been a good resource. And people need to understand, just like you understand with this. He is basically a sounding board for all of us who have coming forward. And all he's doing is relaying information that he knows from people. He's got a strict vetting process with this. I know people can attest to that as whistleblowers. The fact is, he's not just going to take anybody's word because, yeah, somebody said something, right?
I talked to him. I just interviewed him, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked him, how did he decipher who the bullshitters are from the real ones? And we went into that because I think that's extremely important.
Yes, it is.
You know,
and it's not, he's just not taking anybody's word for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he asked me repeatedly, you know, in law enforcement especially, you know, the tactics they use is they ask the similar questions, and especially the meeting I had with the Pentagon and all these other agencies, it's like they ask the same thing because they do interrogations on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, my story is not going to fucking change. The way that I'm doing details is not going to change. My simple task with this is just to tell people what happened.
Good.
That's it. I'm not trying to gain profit. I don't want to be fucking famous. The only thing if I'm going to be famous for this, the only thing I want to be famous for is, oh, that's the guy that fucking stood up and wasn't afraid to do it. And he got the truth out there.
Good for you.
If I can fucking live with that, perfect by all means.
Well, Michael, I know it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing, man. And I commend you for it. And it's an honor to have you in here.
Well, Shawn, thank you, man. And what you're doing on your networks, your podcasts, your YouTube, I mean, you have a big audience. And I hope, I got people trying to poke holes. Go for it. I don't give a fuck what they think. They weren't fucking there with me. They weren't there with my Marines. They want to talk shit. Go for it.
I got one last question.
Yeah.
If you could say anything to the other 5 Marines that were on the ground with you that day, because they might be watching, what would you say to them?
Don't fucking leave me hanging, guys. Don't leave me hanging. We're family. We're fucking brothers. We went through this shit. And I get that you got family. I get that you got kids. I got, moving on. But fuck, man. I mean, you see what I'm trying to do with this. And I'm just trying to get the truth. I hope that they do. And if I can get them to come out and at least understand that, there may be some aspects that are uncomfortable, with what I'm having to deal with. But it's just the reality of things. It's not pretty. But if you got the fucking balls to do it, I don't have kids. Me, I still got a lot to lose at the end of the day. And I know they do too. But the fact is, I'm just sick and tired of people bitching about things and not doing anything about it.
Me too.
And it's all a bunch of talk in this fucking world. It's all a bunch of talk. That's all I see on social media. That's why I'm glad I'm off of that. You know what I mean? That's why I'm glad I'm off, because guess what? I don't get to see that anymore. I get to focus on what I'm trying to do. And for me, having people reach out to me that have open minds and they're like, you know what? I actually heard about something like this happening in Vietnam. Or they're like, I heard about this happening in 2004. And then there's people who are coming out that are participating in these operations unknowingly because they think the constitutionality of it's legal, and it's not. And that's why this is happening, because these people think that at the end of the day, they're doing something that's oversought, and they don't know that degree. It's very compartmentalized, as you know, being a CIA. They only know what they're told, and they only know what they're briefed on and what they're allowed to have access to. It depends on what they're doing.
That's how they keep it secret.
Yes, they do, and not everybody's going to know that. So I hope that anybody who's in those industries understands that, if there's anything that seems off, don't approach it how the guy that was at the Pentagon that talked about U.S. forces being involved in Ukraine. I'm sure you heard about that because you saw FBI HRT raid his house and took him into custody. And he's probably going to sit in prison for the rest of his life because of revealing classified information on these platforms.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. And these guys that are with me that are doing this, they're not doing it either. And the thing is because he did it that way means it's illegal because it's classified material to a degree. It may be illegal, but he screwed that up. Now, the way that we approached it was because we contacted the government and said, hey, this is what I know. This is what I was subject to. And they were, of course, because I approached it in the right way, they're going to reward you with the protection, with the law that they passed to make sure that you are well protected, regardless of what happens in a legal fashion. So these other whistleblowers need to understand that. So they can come forward. They're going to have the same protections. That's why I can paint them a picture and tell them what to expect. I can point them in the direction of who they need to talk to. And just the humanity needs to understand that this false narrative that's going to be portrayed in the media, such as alien invasions and stuff like that, it's been planned since the 50s. There's documentations talking about this. As far as SAIC, or Science Applications International Corporation, talks about the stagecraft. Honestly, if you're somebody who's such a high developed species or something like that, it's like walking by ants.
Yeah.
Are you going to fuck with them? No, you're just like, there's fucking ants. They just walk by. I think like the same thing that they do with us.
Yeah.
Why are they going to fucking try to fuck with us? But the same thing, we all of a sudden start shooting them down and then reverse engineering their stuff and then trying to weaponize it, and then we're using it against each other.